So in the state of Pennsylvania, I worked in the Guard for 8 years as a commissioned officer. So I commissioned instead of enlisted. Someone's going to grill me in the comments here for that. But I had spent, out of my 8 years in the Guard, I had spent 3 years of it active duty time, split between Title 10 and Title 32 full-time orders, which if there's a state response emergency, then you can be activated to help with, you've probably seen guys in Humvees like picking up people that crash on the side of the road during snowstorms. Like that's common here.
Yeah,
or hurricane watch in Florida, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's a really big thing where they'll send in guys in Humvees and big vehicles that aren't going to get swept away that to go find people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was deployed to the Middle East in 2016 to 2017, really young officer. And then different periods, but a few different periods, I was under state orders for emergency response, one of them being COVID. I was on like a FEMA course once. I did security for the Pope once.
All right.
So those kind of added up into time blocks. But yeah, 3 years of full-time in my 8 years of part-time. So to the whole like drill once a month and then 2 weeks in the summer is, I mean, I don't want to talk badly about the National Guard. I love everybody there, but like, depending on what's going on in the world, they can just wrap you up and say, hey, you're working for X amount of time if they really need it.
Yeah. So, well, my question is based on that is like, so you have like the Army,
mm-hmm.
right? And the National Guard, and you were in both.
Yeah. So I fall under the big Army still,
yes,
under a different component that works for the state. So it's still both. So like I still was a soldier with all the same capabilities, all the same training technically, but really less repetitions, but still the same training and the same deployment cycle expectations. So I'm still in the Army. I'm just not an active duty soldier in the Army. Okay. I was in the Army National Guard. There's also the Air National Guard. So there's the National Guard works for the states. Reservist, by the technicality, it's different, but reservists are a reserve component of active duty that are federal side. I was working for the state, and the federal side is kind of a little bit of a different kind of paperwork-wise. It's the same part-time guy. It's just for the paperwork, they work for the federal government, and I work for the state first, and then the federal government second.
Okay. I've known you for so long, dude. And we've talked about this so many times, but like I still feel like I don't know shit. Like it's just it's so complex.
Well, and like imagine if you did like a few months training, and then you come in and you're in charge of some soldiers, and then there's rules and regulations and things, and like you kind of don't know shit.
Yeah.
So like when I was deployed, I didn't know much about structurally how the Army really functioned. Like I haven't experienced it, and I deployed 6 months into my job.
Yeah. God.
Which is overwhelming.
Yeah. I mean, there's like so much to know, and I mean, you're only talking about like one, section of it all, really. I mean, there's so much that, I mean, you're sitting here talking about this, I'm thinking about, all right, well, there's like also the Coast Guard, the Navy, the Air Force, like there's all these other things that are happening. And I mean, I know they're separate, like in their own ways and stuff, but all falling under the U.S. military at the same time.
Yeah, with different missions, right? So like each one has a different primary mission, and that kind of is the North Star guiding how everything else will kind of fall in place. I mean, the Army, we take over land, and the way we do it, there's a couple specifics, but we take over land. So we need a lot of people and equipment has to come with land.
Yeah.
So it's a big logistical effing nightmare to do Army training, because Army training is practicing putting up and down tents with secure networks in them and communications and trucks, but then also breaking it down and moving it. Like that's how we train. Whereas the Air Force doesn't have to do that. They live on a flight line. They are supporting a flight line and their pilots.
Yeah.
The infantry, the tip of the spear, right? We are supported by the logistical capacity of like 99% of the Army to support the 1% who does the fighting. But that takes an absolute logistical circus, not believe. But we can take over a whole country. I mean, the Army can take land of an entire country in like typically a lot of smaller countries in like days.
Dude, it's just crazy to think about. And
it is kind of madness to think about.
It is. I mean, it is. It's very hard to comprehend. But so getting into the veteran claims, I mean, like, what's the backstory on starting this business?
Yeah. So I guess a little bit of that is, I chose to get out of the military, right? And it was a hard decision, right? It's a really big part of your life, even when it's part-time. It's something that you, culturally, it changes you, mentally it changes you, experiences. It's just something that was just like really different. So I decided to get out for my own personal reasons in general. I can go into some of it, but generally speaking, I was feeling unhappy with where my career might be going. But I was also dealing with a lot of things mentally that I was kind of...
That's recording, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. I got into the habit of doing that. No, go ahead.
I was was kind of experiencing and overcoming some mental things that I was like not really addressing. So it was a mixture of I was feeling that the stress of my job and not really being either fully in the Army or not was kind of weighing on me, and then my career not quite being what I wanted it to be in the future was changing, and it was taking up a lot more time than my civilian life. And I dealt with a couple injuries. I did a tryout for Special Forces and hurt my back. I had, hurt my back again on deployment before that. I'd blown out my eardrum. Like I had some injuries too, but those weren't my first thought. My first thought was I'm feeling unhappy and I don't want to be a resentful officer and not be there, because I felt the trickle down effect of that on my first deployment of somebody who was not the strongest leader, and seeing the effect. And so leaving the military was more like the celebration. I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm free, like I've been locked in this place where I'm like always kind of getting called into shit and always want to, but then just never putting the rest of my life pieces together, like not really forming the best relationships, not really spending time with my family, not really spending time in my career. But what happened later, right, is once I got out, I started feeling the effects of the mental health side of the whole experience of the military. I had time to sit on it, time to unwind, and I realized I kind of was in pain, right? So I went to the VA and, started using the healthcare. And, come to find out, someone along the lines of the VA was like, have you gone to file for disability? Right off the bat, I'm not disabled, right? That's that's the first thought. You're like, I'm fine, ma'am. I'm good. And she was like, well, no, there's injuries you're tracking here that you can get compensation for because like you're owed that. Do you want me to like sign you up for like talking to somebody about that? And I was like, yeah, sure. I could have hardly cared less. So the mental health kind of side started bringing me into the doctor in general, and then I was kind of learning about the VA. The VA is not taught to people in the military, by the way. So if you're in the Army now or the military, you have no idea what the hell happens at the VA, and you'll learn about it in a 2-week span when you get out, and that's it. So you show up at the VA and you just trust them. That's all you can do. So I was just like trusting a doctor and, just been like, oh, cool. I mean, I guess I have healthcare sick,
Yeah.
So I went through a claims process and I was denied stuff, and I didn't really know when I was kind of learning it. I was like, oh, wait, hold on. How did I get denied? And I was really just at a loss of the whole process. And I just completely gave up on it. I was like, okay, I mean, I guess I don't have a disability, because that seemed crazy anyways. And then I started to kind of learn more about like what that actually entails and what that means. And I was like, I think that I kind of like somebody at the VA was really not helping me. And so I started talking to other people. I started talking to a company, and I'd kind of learned that this person that had not helped me, was really kind of in the wrong. But if it was up to me to like go after looking back into this and looking into the benefits, because it opens up different layers of benefits long term for you. And I wanted to take care of myself. I was still suffering really bad back problems. I still wasn't mentally 100% great. So I started to pursue the education behind what the VA was not providing me. The VA has amazing benefits and an absolutely horrible PR. Like, they just never put out information about this. And soldiers come out, full-time guys that have not lived and even worked as a civilian. And like I said, at best, they have a 2-week course to learn how to be a civilian, everything. And the VA is probably 1 day of that. And then they're on their own.
Yeah.
So I really started having a problem with this. I was like, okay, I figured this out by way of researching, studying, YouTube, using the skills from being an officer and being in college to literally treat it like school, to figure out like, well, wait, hold on. What like, how does this even work? And that's kind of what got me to doing what I'm doing as a side business now, I guess you can say.